Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Harrell, author of Rockne of Ages and As God's Witness, The Death of Knute Rockne. Sitting here on a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday afternoon live at Augie's Locker Room in gorgeous South Bend in the shadow of Notre Dame University, in the football stadium. One of my main sources of the books at Rockne of Ages and As God's Witness was a gentleman named Jim Manigan, who was a descendant from Father John Reynolds, the chief subject of the book. Father Reynolds, on June 30th, I believe it was in June of 1930, was on the train from South Bend headed into Chicago's Grant Park, Randolph Street train station. When he got off the train, he notices a guy in a boater hat, in a straw boater hat, reading a racing form on his way to the horse track. And the guy looks up and waves at Father Reynolds. Father Reynolds said he noticed him wave at him. And in the book, Father Reynolds said that it was a good luck charm for anybody who was headed to the horse track. If they saw a priest, they would wave. If the priest would wave back, it was going to be good luck that day for the day at the races. So anyway, Father Reynolds said he saw this man who turned out to be Chicago Tribune reporter Jake Lingle. Father Reynolds also noticed two men following Jake Lingle, very close behind. One was a tall blonde man. The other was a short man, he said, with dark hair, greased back hair, as he put it. Right before his death in 1986, Father Reynolds gave an interview to Ron Carton from a Christian newspaper out in Oregon. Jim Manigan, my source, Jim Manigan, had those tapes, and he gave those tapes to me to use for the book. On those tapes, Father Reynolds' voice discusses getting off the train and seeing these two men following Jake Lingle waving at him, and the one man fumbling the gun, the tall blonde fumbling the gun, the other man, the shorter man with dark hair, snatching the gun from him and then shooting Jake Lingle in the back of the head. What you're about to hear now is Father Reynolds' voice from these tapes. It's we've got about a 3-minute clip of Father Reynolds discussing getting off the train.
And Notre Dame had Chicago as a backyard. So I studied him to see if he was one of the students sitting around. But I noticed two fellas following him. One tall blonde, the other a short fellow about my own height. One thing stood out with his hair, his glossy back. And he was on that side of the blonde. He put out his head and pulled it back like that. And the blonde walked with it along, and so he was drugged. And the only thing he was thinking about was walking along, get that idea. And suddenly I heard a shot. And I whirled around and ran into a fellow with his stomach, whose name was O'Brien there, and I said, somebody's been killed. I'm going to get upstairs, see what's going on. So I ran up the stairway, and on the corner was the blonde, waiting for a pickup. But nobody picked him up. So
It was a black-haired man with a blonde-haired man?
The blonde man there was a tall fellow, and the black-haired man was a short fellow.
And the blonde fellow killed the black-haired fellow?
Well, here's what happened. The blonde fellow was supposed to shoot this reporter. I think the reporter might have accepted money from him, and not to write, and wrote about something. When you do that, your life's worth nothing in Chicago. So, what happened they advertised for me as the witness, and this fellow I ran into was one of the underground men was dressed as a priest and said, "Somebody shot, I'm getting out of here." So what I said was, "Somebody shot, I'm getting upstairs to see what's going on." But the traffic officer picked him up and chased him up an alley.
This is the blonde.
The blonde one.
Now, was Jake Lingo, was he the dark-haired fellow?
No, but those two, we bring those, Jake Lingle is the reporter. The Leo brothers is the one that picked up.
He was the blonde.
No,
He was the black.
here's what happened to the blonde. He went into a store and asked to use the toilet. He went into the toilet and took a drug because they examined the toilet, saw the paper, took it out and diagnosed that it was drugs. So he went on to State Street and then went back to their headquarters, wherever it was. But they couldn't trust him because he was so nervous when he had the gun. The little black-haired fella had to take it from him and kill Jake by a bullet in the back of his head.
Where was Jake at this time?
Huh?
Where was Jake? When you were underground and the black-haired fellow and the blonde-haired fellow came by, where was Jake?
Oh, he was walking along. He was dressed in the Harrison Street station. Has an electric train that runs out to the track, see? And he was studying the farm. And of course, when they blew his brains out, he was on the ground.
He was up.
When they blew his brains out, he was on the ground. I just think that's just chilling, and that's in the book. And on a side note, Father Reynolds also discussed Leo Brothers, who was the man who wound up being convicted of killing Jake Lingle. But as he said, Leo Brothers was the wrong one. In the book, in my research, I found out that the actual killer was Frankie Foster, who was an Al Capone hitman, and Ted Newberry was also a Capone crew member. It was Foster who, they had Foster in custody, but they let him go. They picked up Leo Brothers and found out that, but Leo Brothers turned out to be a scapegoat wanted by the district attorney, by the attorneys, and by the police, because there was such a clamoring for a conviction, for an arrested conviction of the killer of Jake Lingle, and also by Al Capone, who wanted Frankie Foster to go out to L.A. for him and help find new turf, help build new turf for Capone's operation. So Leo Brothers was a scapegoat. Leo Brothers was convicted after Father Reynolds testified against Leo Brothers on March 27th, 1931. Testified in court, and he was vague in his testimony against Brothers. Didn't say yes or no. But he told them all the time that he was telling them the whole time that they had the wrong guy. Long story short, the day after Father Reynolds got off the witness stand, he ran into Knute Rockne on campus of Notre Dame and gave him his plane ticket. 3 days later, the plane blew up, carrying Knute Rockne and 7 others. You've just heard the voice of Father Reynolds. We're going to have some more from him because it's an amazing tape.
This is a picture of me with Joe Montana, 1979, and my son Andrew. Joe writes, "Augie, great collection, Joe Montana." That was an unbelievable opportunity for us to meet Joe and to be together with him. But these are things that are not for sale. These are items in the store to give it that museum quality. And so the first item I'm going to show you is a helmet, actual Notre Dame helmet from the 1890s to 1910 or so. That's the first canvas helmet that Notre Dame wore. And so we're going to move over down to the hat worn by Sir Moose Krause, a really good friend of the family, friend of ours. This was one of his hats. This green hat was given at the 1972 Cotton Bowl. I'm not sure, it allegedly is Moose's, but I can't say for sure, but this is definitely Moose's hat. Moving down here, we have Rocket's helmet. Rocket's helmet was featured on Sports Illustrated. It was called Liftoff, and it was Rocket's helmet before he left for the Toronto Argonauts. This is not for sale, but this is one of those items you see at Augie's Locker Room that is museum quality. Over to the right of that is Joe Montana's game used helmet from 1978. And it actually, there's a photo of it with Dan Devine, this helmet right here. And so you come into Augie's Locker Room, you see items that are not for sale, but you do see items that we would sell, considered museum quality, but actually for sale. So come on into Augie's Locker Room, go to our website, augieslockerroom.com. Go Irish.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. You can order the book, spiritofknute.com, augieslockerroom.com. We're live at Augie's Locker Room, and you guys have a great day. We'll see you next week. Go Irish.